Mastering Revit Design Options, step-by-step tutorial with simple and complex examples. Hello and welcome to our new video. Today we're going to talk about design options. So let's get started. Design options are a system for organized modeling of alternative design solutions within a single Revit project, with control over visibility and selection of the final variant. For example, in the case of different roof types, entrance variations, alternative room layouts, or different facade solutions. There are two ways to open the Design Options window. One way is to go to Manage, then Design Options. Now we'll close this and open it the second way. We go to the bottom of the screen. We can see that where it says Main Model it is grayed out, which means we currently only have the main model and no design options. In this section we have Design Options. We click it and the same window opens. When the window opens, in the upper corner we can see what is currently being edited. At the moment, that is the main model. Next we have Edit, which becomes active only when at least one design option exists and allows us to enter the editing mode of the selected option. Then we have the Option Set section, which is used to organize alternative solutions within the project. For example, a separate set for the roof, a separate one for the entrance, meaning each set refers to one logical group of variations. And we have Options, which represent specific variants within a set, for example, a hip or gable roof, and are used when we want to model and compare different solutions within the same design scope. Let's create a set. Under Option Set, we click New. We have created a new set, which currently contains one option. When we click on the option set we just created, we can see that the options related to the set become active: New, Rename, Accept Primary, and Delete. Let's rename the set. Since we will create two roof variants, we will name this set Roof Type. Now we click on the option inside the set, and we can see that this option is marked as primary. That means it is currently the main and default variant within that option set. It will be displayed in all views where the design option is set to automatic. While this option is selected, we can see that the options related to the option itself are active: New, Make Primary, which is currently grayed out because the selected option is already primary, then Rename, Duplicate, and Delete. Let's click Rename. The first option will be Gable Roof. Now let's create a new option. Click New, then Rename. This option will be Hip Roof. If we wanted to make Hip Roof the primary option, we would click Make Primary. However, for now we don't want that. We will keep Gable Roof as primary. Now we will create the second set, which will be for two bathroom layout variants. We click New, then select the newly created set and go to Rename. It is best to rename everything immediately so that it is clear what is being created and how it is organized. We will name this set Bathroom Layout. We will rename the first option to Bathtub Layout. Then we create a new option and rename it to Shower Layout. Now we will close the window. We can see that the main model is currently active. When we click on it, we can see the two sets, each containing two options, and each option represents a different variant. Let's select, for example, Gable Roof. We can see that we cannot select anything. We cannot select elements from the main model while we are in the editing mode of a design option because Revit locks the rest of the model to isolate the variant. Revit isolates the active option in order to prevent unintended references between the main model and the active option. Now we will return to the main model so that we can add elements to the options. First, we will work on the roof type set, and we need to add elements to the set, that is, to the set's options, in order to be able to edit them. Since the roof is related to the exterior walls, because we will attach them to the roof, we will add all exterior walls to the roof type set. What is important to note is that elements that are hosted by other elements, such as windows and doors hosted by walls, are automatically added together with the host element into the set. If they were already placed in the model at the moment the host element is added to the set. These hosted elements cannot be added to a set without their host. So, we select all exterior walls, and now we will add them to the set. We can do this by going to Manage and clicking Add to Set. We can also access the same option from the bottom panel. The Add to Design Option Set window opens. Currently, Bathroom Layout is selected. We will click there and choose Roof Type from the drop-down menu. We will keep both options selected because the exterior walls will be related to both roof types. it is better to immediately add the elements to all options within the set. Click OK. Now we can see that in the main model we can no longer select the elements we just added to the set, that is, to both options. However, when we activate one of those two options, we can then edit and modify those elements. So, while the gable roof option is active, we will draw the gable roof. We can also change the active option from the Manage tab under Design Options. We draw the gable roof and attach the walls to the roof. Now we select the hip roof option and draw the hip roof. We can see that the roof from the previous option has disappeared. Again, we will attach the walls. Now we can see the difference when switching from one option to the other. When we click on Main Model, we see that the gable roof is displayed. Why? Because that is the option within the set that is currently marked as primary. As we mentioned earlier, we can change this. We click on the option we want to make primary. Click Make Primary, then Close. Now we can see that in the main model the primary option is the hip roof. Now we move on to the bathroom variants. As previously mentioned, we will create one variant with a bathtub and one with a shower cabin. We will add everything needed for the bathroom layout set. We will add a wall, a door, and vanity cabinets. We go to Add to Set, choose Bathroom Layout, and this time we will select only the first option, Bathtub Layout, so that we can see the difference. When we enter the Bathtub Layout option, we can see the elements we just placed. When we switch to the Shower Layout option, we see that none of the elements we previously added to the Bathtub Layout option are present. Now let's try to add those same elements to the second option in the set. We select them and go to Add to Set. We receive an error. Unfortunately, once elements have been added to one option within a set, they cannot simultaneously belong to two options within the same set. For example, if we did not initially add the elements to both options, or if we were to create another option now, that new option would also contain no elements, and we would not be able to add the already assigned ones. So how do we resolve this? The only way is to copy the elements from the option we want from to the clipboard, then switch to the option we want to copy them into, in this case, Shower Layout, and use Paste Align to Same Place. Now we will refine these options a bit. We will insert a bathtub. Then a toilet. We will slightly move the wall and the vanity. Now let's switch to the second option. We will rotate the vanity 180 degrees so that it aligns with the upper wall. We will adjust the door like this. Add a toilet. Add a shower and then a drain. Now we can clearly see the difference when switching between options. When we select Main Model, we see that the primary option is currently Bathtub Layout. Let's change that so that the shower option becomes primary. We receive a warning, but it will not cause any issues. Now we will prepare the views for sheets. Since we have two bathroom variants, we need two separate floor plans to display both options. We will duplicate level 1. The first will be named Level 1, Shower. The second will be named Level 1, Bathtub. For the 3D views, we also need views for both variants. We will not modify the default 3D view. We will rename one view 3D, Hip Roof, and the other 3D, Gable Roof. Now we will configure these views to display what we want. In this floor plan, we want to see the bathtub layout. While in this view, we open Visibility/Graphics. Then go to Design Options. We can see that it is currently set to Automatic, which means it displays the primary option. However, we want this view to always show the bathtub layout, so we will manually select it. We will do the same for the other floor plan. Open Visibility/Graphics, go to Design Options, and select Shower Layout. We apply the same principle to the 3D views. First, for the gable roof view, we choose the gable roof option. Then we do the same for the hip roof view and select the hip roof option. Now we will add a new sheet and select A3 metric sheet. On the sheet, we will place both floor plans and both 3D views. We will adjust the layout slightly. Once the client selects the preferred option, we will proceed as follows. We open Design Options. If the client has chosen the hip roof option, which is currently primary, we must click on the set, then click Accept Primary. A confirmation window appears asking if we want to proceed. We click Accept Primary. Revit warns us that all elements and views associated with options that are not primary will be permanently removed. We click Delete. We will do the same for the bathroom layout set. Again, we accept the primary option. Confirm. Then we delete the extra views. We can see that only the two views corresponding to the selected primary options remain on the sheet. What we can also notice is that we now again have only the main model, and the design options control is grayed out, just as it was at the very beginning. Now we will demonstrate a slightly more complex example. Let's assume that within the same model we want to define two roof variants, two entrance variants, and two window variants. Intuitively, we would create three separate design option sets, one for each modification category. However, the issue arises because these elements are interdependent. In order to create alternative roof variants, the exterior walls must be included in the same design option set, since the roof is geometrically and structurally dependent on them. The moment we move the walls into a design option, they are no longer part of the main model. That means they cannot simultaneously participate in another design option set. We cannot modify them outside that set. All hosted elements, windows, doors, become dependent on that option. If we later want to replace a sliding door with a window inside another set, that will not be possible because the wall is already locked inside the first set. In other words, a host element cannot belong to multiple different design option sets at the same time. To avoid overlapping host elements and constraints between different design option sets, all variants must be consolidated into a single set. Instead of creating a separate set for the roof, another for the entrance, and another for the window, we will create one unified design option set that contains all possible combinations of these elements. The first step is to identify all combinatorial variants. We have three changing elements: roof type, entrance, and window. In our case, we have 2 roof variants, 2 entrance variants, and 2 window variants. According to combinatorics, the total number of options is calculated by multiplication. 2 times 2 times 2 is equal to 8. This means that within one design option set, we must create 8 options in total, each representing a unique combination of roof, entrance, and window. Now let's create this set and enter all these options. We click on Design Options. Then we click New under Option Set. We will name it House Variants. Now we will create all the options we previously defined through combination. Unfortunately, we cannot manually control the order of options. They are automatically sorted alphabetically. Once we finish entering all options, we click Close. Now we will add all elements that will be modified into the set we created. We select all exterior walls, as well as the floor. We click Add to Set and leave all options selected, since these elements must exist in every combination. Now we proceed by creating each variant one by one, following the order established when we define the 8 combinations. First, aligned, gable, sliding. We draw the gable roof and perform the attach operation. Next, aligned, hip, sliding. We draw the hip roof and attach the roof to the walls. The next variant is extended, gable, sliding. We go to level 1. Here we perform split. Then pull this section downward. We select Unjoin. We set this to 180. We add a detail line so that we can perform a line. We cannot align with elements that are not inside the set. Revit displays an error. So this is the workaround. We adjust the floor to match the new layout. We add an additional window. Finally, we create the roof and perform attach. Since we have this gap here, we add a wall to close it. We set the base offset to 300. Next, extended, hip, sliding. Again, we need to repeat the previous process. However, we will do the following. We return to the previous option and draw boundary lines using detail lines so that we clearly know how far the wall should be extended. Then we switch back to the option we need to edit. We repeat the same steps as before. We forgot to add a line here earlier so that we can perform a line properly. Now we create the roof. We also need to modify the floor accordingly. Next, we need to create the option Aligned, Gable, 2 windows. Since we already modeled a gable roof in one of the previous options and the floor plan geometry remains the same, we can simply copy it from an option where it already exists. We go to Copy to Clipboard, then return to the option we are currently editing and choose Paste, Align to Same Place. Then we perform Attach. Of course, we could redraw the roof from scratch, but copying is faster in this case. You can choose whichever workflow suits you better. Initially, we plan to place 2 single windows, which is why we named the option 2 windows. However, it is more practical to use one double window family to represent those 2 windows. Next, we move to Aligned, Hip, 2 windows. We locate the option from which we will copy the hip roof. Then we place the window. This option is now completed. We proceed to Extended, Gable, 2 windows. We go back to level 1 and repeat the same process we previously used for the extended entry. We also modify the floor accordingly. Again, we copy the roof from one of the previous options and perform Attach. We also add the wall that we created earlier. Then we copy the window. Finally, we create extended, hip, 2 windows. Since we still have the window in the clipboard, we'll paste it here right away. We'll perform the split again. In this option, we delete the corresponding outdated portion. Here, we copy the extended wall portion from the previous option. We also copy the correct roof type. These are the options we have created. This one still requires some refinement, so we will adjust it now. If we switch to the main model, the primary option is displayed, as expected. Let's change it. We select Extended, Gable, Sliding. Actually, let's switch to Extended, Hip, Sliding. We will choose Remove Constraints where necessary. If we want to edit a specific option later, we go to Manage, then pick to edit, and Revit will automatically activate the option that contains the selected element. Since all our variants are inside one set, this method works consistently. Alternatively, we can open Design Options, select the desired option, click Edit, and Revit will enter editing mode for that option. After finishing, we click Finish Editing. The next step is to create sheets and prepare the views. We will select an imperial sheet, since we need more space. We will delete the temporary detail lines we previously drew. We rename the sheet to Floor Plans, Variants. We duplicate it and rename the second sheet 3D Views, Variants. Now we prepare the views. For floor plans, we will create 4 variants because, in Plan View, we see 2 entrance variants and 2 window variants, sliding versus double window. We rename all 4 accordingly. We will create combinations of aligned, extended, gable, and hip. Next, for each variant, we adjust visibility graphics, specifically the design option setting. For the first variant, aligned, 2 windows, we select the design option that contains the aligned entrance and the corresponding window configuration. We repeat the same process for the remaining 3 variants. Notice that once we override the design option inside visibility graphics for a specific view, changing the active option in the status bar no longer affects that view. This happens because we have explicitly overridden the design option at the view level, so the view becomes independent from the active option. Now we place these 4 floor plan variants onto the appropriate sheet. We adjust the scale and arrange them properly for a clear presentation. Next are the 3D views. We create 8 duplicates of the 3D view, while keeping the original main 3D view unchanged. Then we rename them. Here we will use abbreviations to speed up the process. In a real project, naming would be more descriptive and standardized. The first variant will be AGS, based on the combinations we defined earlier: aligned, gable, sliding. We repeat this logic for the remaining 7 variants. For each 3D view, we open Visibility Graphics, go to Design Options, and select the appropriate variant. Once that is completed, we place all 8 3D variants onto the sheet. We adjust the scale and arrange them for a clean and professional layout. Finally, once the client selects a preferred version, we will mark it as the final option. What we recommend is to always save one version of the file containing all alternatives, in case the client later requests changes, and especially to keep a copy where the selected option is finalized. We open Design Options, ensuring the relevant set is selected, and choose Accept Primary. Of course, if we want a different option to be primary, we first make that change, then accept it. A confirmation window appears asking if we want to proceed. We click Accept. Then another window shows which views will be deleted. Revit removes the views linked to the options that no longer exist. It is always important to review which views will be deleted. For example, here all the floor plan views would be deleted because we did not assign this primary option to any floor plan. We only created 4 plans instead of 8. We uncheck the floor plan that we want to keep and allow the rest to be deleted. The remaining views are 1 floor plan view and 1 3D view. And that's it. Design options are an extremely powerful tool in Revit because they allow us to systematically develop multiple variants within a single project without duplicating files. They are especially useful when creating conceptual designs, competitions, or projects where the client wants multiple alternative proposals. However, as we have seen, they require careful planning. If we do not analyze which elements are interdependent in advance, we can quickly run into complications with host elements and limitations between sets. That is why it is crucial, before starting, to define which elements will change, which are hosted, and whether a combinatorial approach will be needed. The more experience we gain working with design options, the more efficient and logical the process becomes. We hope this tutorial helps you improve your Revit workflow. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more tutorials.